Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the camper build. It has been a couple of weeks. In case you missed it, I was down in South America in Argentina and Chile. Videos from that are coming soon, so don't worry, I'm not just glazing over that. But it is time to get back to the camper build. And today and tomorrow, my goal is hopefully to finish this kitchen area. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to get it all plumbed in to have water running, but that's really the goal. If I can, I want to have this kitchen fully functional. All that said, the first thing we're going to do is try to get this face piece done. I have all of the wooden cabinet fronts right here that I'm going to mount first. Aside from these two drawers, those drawers and drawer slides still have to actually be built, so those are going to be last, but everything else is going to get mounted before I put the wall in. Once that's done, it's just a matter of securing everything and probably setting the countertop down. I'm going to wait to put the appliances in until very last because I want to be able to reach down and work on everything without having to work around a countertop. So the project there is going to be just getting it all sealed up, so that way when the rest of it's together, I can just drop it in. Let's see how far we get today. If we get all of that done, I have more on the to-do list, but I think that's a great place to start. So I'll see you outside. Alright, welcome back to the floor. I was not chatting with you guys a whole lot today because I was just trying to knock this out, and although it's not permanently mounted, this countertop will need to come off just for me to easily work on stuff. And I also think I want to change something about it that I'll get to in a second. This face is mounted. These doors are mounted. They work. Obviously there's nothing in them yet other than things that still need to be done. But I really love how this came out, and I'm so happy that we took the time. It did take quite a lot of extra time to figure out how to do this. But the single routed out piece of wood I think just looks so clean. I'm not losing any space on the face because of like face mounted, I think is what they're called, shaker style type drawers or doors. Now that this is mounted, I have a couple things to do. One, obviously these two cabinets, these are going to be drawers, need to be put in. I'm going to have silverware and then kind of a knick-knack utensils, serving spoons type of drawer here, let's be honest, it's probably going to turn into a bit of a junk drawer. But otherwise, all I have to do left in the kitchen is run my plumbing. You guys haven't seen yet, but I did actually install partially this sink faucet, so I do need to still run my cold line to it, but the faucet is mounted, and I do really like how it turned out. I mean, if you've seen my other builds, this is my 3rd time in 3 builds using this faucet head. And it's just so clean and simple. I really, really enjoy it. And I'm happy that I chose it again for this space as well. So the one thing that I want to change, I think, is the tone of this 3/4 inch pine project board. I did go with the pine over a standard butcher block because this weighs less than 20 pounds and a comparable size and shape of butcher block would have weighed over 60 pounds. Which in this build, because I'm in the truck, is a huge difference. That said, one of the biggest downsides to using pine is that it yellows really terribly. This only has some oil on it right now. I did not add a color or a stain to it, thinking maybe I could preserve some of the lighter warm tones, similar to what this looks like. But unfortunately, it is really yellow. So now I'm leaning more towards a light stain. Something more along the lines of this, like a light brown, maybe some red undertones to match the redwood throughout the camper, and just make it a little bit darker, add some contrast, and hopefully reduce the amount of yellow pine that's peeking through. But all of that to come, I am going to take the rest of the night off of the build to go work on this video actually, and I'll see you guys in the morning. So last night I had a wildly successful trip to Lowe's. I got what I think is all of my plumbing supplies. Tara is very not happy about the turkeys right now. Minus the 1 1/4 inlet braided hose. So everything else is here. I can put it together. I even got the new stain for the top of my counter. So today is hopefully going to be another productive day. It is going to require that I take some stuff apart, so the camper is going to look temporarily less finished than it does right now. But at the end of the day, my hope is to essentially be ready to mount the drawers, connect the propane, and have a functioning kitchen. We'll see how far I get, but first things first, I'm gonna go grab all those parts and lay them out so this can go a little bit quicker, hopefully. So you guys saw, I have my pump right here. I have the filter I just placed in the corner. I have this sink faucet, which, ooh, I have used this Kraus sink faucet, again, in all of my builds and absolutely love it. I think it's just really streamlined and simple, so I will be using this again. I've actually already drilled the 1 3/8 hole over here in the corner. I don't think you can see, but this is ready for install. It just needs to be hooked up. One thing I will be doing with this, since I don't have a water heater in here, is plugging this. You can probably tell it's the red hose, which is for hot water. I will be plugging this. If someone wanted to add a hot water heater in the future, they could, and then just attach to this line. Okay, so many things, so little space. I have some hose clamps. I have more, don't worry. I also have some braided line. So this line is going to be what feeds my water pump, and then it also is going to be, like, the excess will be an air line, so that way my tank can release air out the side of the camper while I'm filling it so it doesn't build up pressure. I did buy a little bit more hose for that because this might not be quite enough. It doesn't need to be braided or it's not pressurized. It's literally just an air hose. So just got some cheap little 1/2 inch diameter air vent hose. And then we get into all of these freaking connections. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I first did plumbing, I think I was more overwhelmed by it than I was electrical because there are so many little pieces that you have to consider, so many names of parts that I just had never heard, like FIP and MIP. I feel like I finally have kind of the hang of it, but it's always kind of a guessing game whether or not I have everything. But I'm just going to organize it into categories. So here, there's that little plug I was just talking about. I'm hoping you guys can see this. Here's the little plug that I was talking about. This is just going to thread in, and this is an example of just like a pipe threaded piece component. And on the other hand, I have the shark bite fittings. Now, these can be great. You just have to make sure that you check them because obviously over time, things will move around and you want to make sure these aren't leaking. But they are just some push to connect. I have some PEX outside. It's 10 feet long, so it's not in here. And the PEX just pushes in on each side. You make sure that it clicks, and that's how you know that it fits. And I lied. This one's actually pipe threaded on the other side because to get onto things like my pump and strainer, I needed one end to be threaded on, and then the pressurized side is going to have PEX coming out of the pump. I think that's enough talking though. I'm going to try my best to demonstrate what I'm doing. Not that I'm a plumbing expert, please do your own research, but I've basically built the same system now 3 times and gratefully never had any leaks. So my fingers are crossed this time around as well. I really hope that that's the case. Again, I don't have a way to get water into my tank really today, but by tomorrow, hopefully that other tube will come and I will be able to test my system out. So let's get started putting things together and see how far we can get. It feels fitting to end this video on the floor where we started, but a little bit further along. This week I was able to get this cabinet mounted, these doors affixed, so all of them open and latch closed now. Again, these drawers are gonna have to wait a little bit longer unfortunately, but I am really excited to have the countertop stained in a color that I love, to have the plumbing done except for the drain and fill, and to have the sink in a way that's going to allow me to filter my water better. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. I wasn't sure that I had mounted the filter in the right place, so I'm glad that it's all working out. This third time around has definitely been a lot faster for plumbing. It took maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of a day. Today wasn't even like full bore going at the plumbing. And I think tomorrow when I have those extra parts come in, it might take me another hour to get it all up. Obviously, I will need to test things. So that's the biggest point I can make here is make sure to test your plumbing multiple times with pressure in the system. Let it sit overnight to make sure that there aren't any leaks, which I didn't cover in today's video because I'm not ready to run water through it. That said, I will be recording that process for you guys for next week because I am actually heading out on a little pre-move-in trip, if you will. I have an appointment up in Oregon, and so I am doing everything I can the rest of this week and early next to get the truck and camper ready for the road. It's not going to be done yet. I will need to come back and finish up a couple of last things, but the camper will be safe to drive, fingers crossed is the hope, and I will be able to use most of the basic systems like my electrical, hopefully my plumbing, and my gray tank. That said, the end of the build always takes a little bit longer than I think it's going to, at least. So while I'm optimistic, I'm trying to remain realistic, and I think even if we're on the road by mid-May, it's going to be great, put us in a good spot for summer and all of the adventures ahead. I know that I've been gone the last couple of weeks, so if you stuck around in the meantime, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for giving me grace. You can be sure to watch out for the upcoming videos on Patagonia and my travels down in South America, and otherwise just finishing the build and getting on the road. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. I'll see you next week. Bye.